Stop right there. Before you say "I do" or sign those divorce papers, you need to hear this. The marriage and divorce laws in America just got a massive overhaul. And if you're married, engaged, or thinking about splitting up, what I'm about to tell you could save you tens of thousands of dollars and years of legal headaches. I'm talking about changes so significant that divorce attorneys across the country are scrambling to update their practices.
Some of these new rules protect you in ways you never imagined, while others might catch you completely off guard. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how these changes affect your rights, your assets, and your future. Let's dive in. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because we break down complex legal topics into information you can actually use. Today, we're tackling something that affects millions of Americans, the recent updates to marriage and divorce laws that are changing the game entirely. Whether you're happily married, going through a rough patch, or considering divorce, these updates matter to you. And trust me, this isn't your typical boring legal talk. These changes are dramatic, they're controversial, and they're already making waves across the country. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's get into it.
Let's start with the biggest change that's got everyone talking, the modernization of prenuptial agreement laws. For decades, prenups have been this taboo subject that nobody wanted to discuss because it felt unromantic or like planning for failure. Well, the new regulations are flipping that script entirely.
Under the updated framework, courts are now recognizing digital assets and cryptocurrency as legitimate marital property that must be disclosed and can be protected through prenuptial agreements.
Think about it. When prenup laws were originally written, nobody owned Bitcoin, NFTs, or had valuable social media accounts worth millions. The new rules require full disclosure of all digital assets, including cryptocurrency wallets, online business accounts, and even intellectual property created during the marriage. This means if you're a content creator, influencer, or tech entrepreneur, your digital empire is now firmly part of the conversation when it comes to marriage and divorce. But here's where it gets really interesting. The new standards also make prenups significantly harder to challenge in court. Previously, one party could argue they were coerced or didn't fully understand what they were signing. Now, there are mandatory waiting periods and requirements for independent legal counsel for both parties. You can't just spring a prenup on your partner 3 days before the wedding anymore. The law now requires at least 30 days between presenting the agreement and the wedding date, and both parties must have their own attorney review it. This actually protects both people and makes prenups more enforceable than ever before. Moving on to something that affects millions of couples right now, alimony reform. This is huge. The traditional alimony system where one spouse could receive payments indefinitely has been completely restructured in most states adopting these new guidelines. The updated approach calculates spousal support based on a mathematical formula considering the length of the marriage, income disparity, and future earning potential. But here's the kicker. Permanent alimony is essentially being phased out, except in marriages lasting more than 20 years or in cases involving disability or age, factors that prevent employment. For marriages under 10 years, alimony typically can't exceed half the length of the marriage. So if you were married for 8 years, spousal support would last a maximum of 4 years under the new framework. This is a dramatic shift from the old system where support could continue indefinitely. The reasoning behind this change is to encourage self-sufficiency and recognize that modern marriages often involve 2 working professionals. Critics argue this could leave some vulnerable spouses without adequate support, particularly those who sacrificed their careers for family. Supporters say it creates fairness and encourages people to become financially independent post-divorce. Now let's talk about something that's causing serious debate: the new approach to child custody and parenting time. The updated laws establish a strong presumption toward equal parenting time, sometimes called 50-50 custody. Unless there are documented safety concerns, abuse, or one parent is genuinely unfit, courts are now starting from the position that children benefit from equal time with both parents.
This represents a massive departure from the traditional model where one parent, usually the mother, would get primary custody while the other got visitation every other weekend. The new framework also introduces the concept of technology-facilitated co-parenting. Courts can now order parents to use approved co-parenting apps for all communication and scheduling. These apps create a digital record of all interactions, which can be invaluable if disputes arise. Some parents love this because it reduces conflict and creates accountability. Others feel it's intrusive and treats parents like children who need supervision.
Regardless of how you feel about it, this is the direction things are moving. Another groundbreaking change involves the division of marital debt. Previously, debt division was often murky and could be manipulated. The new regulations create clear guidelines that debts incurred during the marriage are generally split equally, but with important exceptions. If one spouse secretly accumulated debt through gambling, undisclosed purchases, or other deceptive means, that spouse may be held solely responsible. This requires proving the other spouse neither knew about nor benefited from the debt. The burden of proof has shifted, making it harder for someone to rack up secret credit card debt and then force their ex to pay half of it. Student loan debt is getting special treatment under the new framework, too. Loans taken out before marriage generally remain the sole responsibility of the person who borrowed them, even if they're paid off during the marriage using joint funds. However, if the non-borrowing spouse can prove they sacrificed career opportunities or earnings to support the borrowing spouse's education, they may be entitled to reimbursement or a larger share of other marital assets. This acknowledges the reality that many couples make strategic decisions where one person works while the other attends school, with the understanding that both will benefit long-term. Let's address something controversial: the new infidelity provisions. Some states adopting these updated laws have reintroduced fault-based considerations when adultery can be proven. However, it's not as simple as it used to be. The cheating must have directly contributed to the breakdown of the marriage and caused economic harm. Simply proving your spouse had an affair isn't enough to impact property division. You'd need to show that marital funds were spent on the affair, that gifts were purchased for the other person, or that the affair directly led to financial losses. This middle ground approach acknowledges that while no-fault divorce remains the standard, egregious behavior that damages the marital estate shouldn't be completely ignored. One of the most progressive updates involves the recognition of non-traditional contributions to marriage. Courts are now required to consider unpaid labor like childcare, elder care, and household management as economic contributions equal to paid employment. This is massive for stay-at-home parents or caregivers who previously struggled to demonstrate their value in divorce proceedings. The new guidelines provide calculators and frameworks for quantifying this work, giving it the recognition it deserves. If you spent 10 years raising children and managing a household while your spouse built a career, the law now explicitly values your contribution. Retirement accounts and pensions are also getting new treatment. The updated rules streamline the division of retirement assets and close loopholes that previously allowed some people to hide or undervalue their retirement benefits. All retirement accounts must now be disclosed with current valuations, and there are severe penalties for failing to disclose these assets. The division of these accounts also happens more quickly,
reducing the time it takes for both parties to access their share of retirement funds. Something many people don't realize is that these new laws also affect common law marriage in states that recognize it. The requirements for establishing a common law marriage have become more stringent, requiring clearer evidence that both parties intended to be married and held themselves out as married to the community. This prevents situations where someone claims a common law marriage existed when the other person had no such understanding or intention.
So there you have it. The landscape of marriage and divorce law in America is transforming right before our eyes. From digital assets and cryptocurrency and prenups to reformed alimony calculations to equal parenting time presumptions, these changes are reshaping how we think about marriage, divorce, and family law. Some of these updates offer better protection and fairness, while others might feel restrictive or unfair depending on your situation.
The key takeaway here is that if you're married, getting married, or considering divorce, you absolutely need to understand how these new rules apply to your specific circumstances. Don't make assumptions based on what happened to your friend, your parents, or what you've seen on TV. Laws vary by state, and these updates are being implemented differently across the country. Consult with a family law attorney in your state to understand exactly how these changes impact you. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to protecting your rights and your future.
If you found this information valuable, smash that like button and share this video with anyone who needs to know about these changes. Drop a comment below telling me what you think about these updates. Are they fair? Do they go too far? What would you change? I read every comment and I love hearing your perspectives. And of course, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into the legal topics that matter to your life.
Until next time, stay informed, stay protected, and I'll see you in the next one.